Welcome back. All right, so 8 games tonight in the National Hockey League. Also, 2 of them games that I now designate as 80s games. So this one, the magnet's at the bottom because I didn't have the room at the top, so I apologize, but I put the magnet at the bottom. There's an 80s game on the other side too. The dividing line is 10 goals or more. I qualify it as an 80s night. So that being said, starting things off, we're going to talk about the Washington Capitals and the Philadelphia Flyers. This was an exercise in futility early on. So it's Lindgren versus Ersson. Early jump for the Flyers. The Flyers draw themselves a power play, but their power play is not good, so that's killed off. Shots are 2-0 Flyers at 4.5 minutes. McMichael has a shot that's saved. There's some pushing. We get a power play for the Capitals. Their power play isn't any good either, so there's a shorthanded Konechny rush that's saved. They do kill that off. The shots are only 2 apiece with 7 minutes left in this game. McMichael has a tip shot that's held. The Caps are winning some puck battles with 2:08 left. The Caps go back to the power play. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1 for the Flyers that misfires, and that's killed off. So after the first period, it's scoreless. Second period, good early back and forth. There's a press by the Flyers, and Bobby Brink backhands one in from Stahl and Frost at 2:14. That's Mark Stahl's first point of the year. And then less than a minute later at 3 minutes, on a nice deke and close, McMichael scores from Protas and Mantha, so ties the game at 1. We get a power play for the Flyers. That's killed off because it isn't any good. Konechny can't jam one in. We get some pushing. The shots are 6-2 for the Flyers at 7 minutes. The Caps press at 8.5 minutes. The Flyers go back to the power play. There's a shorthanded Mallenstein rush. That's denied. That was killed off too. Power play for the Caps then. There's a post for Strome. The rebound's cleared, but Wilson gets a power play goal for Washington from Strome and Oshie at 15:29. That makes it 2-1 for the Capitals. He buries that one from the side of the net as well. Capitals press for another, but with 1:53 left, the Flyers get a fourth power play. Then they get 46 seconds of 5-on-3. The Caps weren't happy. I guess they forgot it's the Florida power play. It's not a big deal. Forrester's denied in the closing seconds. To start the third period, it's still 5-on-4. Forrester's has a shot that's saved. They cycle, but the Caps finish the kill. Mallenstein fires one wide on a 3-on-2, and then Farabee gets a wraparound goal from Paling at 5:25. So that ties the game at 2. Shots are 5-3 for the Flyers at 7.5 minutes. At 9:05, Washington gets the lead back. It's Strome from Protas and Wilson. He buries that one in close. What's interesting with that one is Protas' stick broke, so that's kind of like a distracting moment. The puck goes over to Strome, and he gets the goal. However, eventually Philadelphia would tie this. Tippett scores from Frost at 17:01, and then the Flyers look for the lead, but we're going to overtime. Sandin has a net drive that's defended. Lindgren denies Atkinson. And then Ersson denied Ovechkin, so there were chances in that overtime, but we're going to the shootout, and in the shootout, Bobby Brink gets the winner. So your final score is 4-3 in a shootout for Philadelphia. They go to 16-10-3 with the win. With the loss, the Capitals 14-8-4. So both teams 6 games above NHL 500. It's an entertaining time right now in the Metro. Shots on net, 7-2 Washington in the first, 14-11 Philly in the second, 13-8 Philly in the third. In the overtime, 4-3 for Washington. Final shots, 32-30 for the Flyers. Power plays, the Capitals 1 for 3. Philadelphia 0 for 5. The hits, 21-15 for Philadelphia. Lindgren saves 29 out of 32 at one end. Ersson saves 27 out of 30 at the other end. So, again, highly entertaining game. Goes to a shootout. Philadelphia gets the victory. All right, next up, Columbus and Toronto. So this is the most insane game of the night. The crowd goes from booing to cheering and back to booing again. Merzlikins versus Samsonov, early press by the Leafs. Jackets press the next shift. In fact, the shots are 3-2 for the Leafs at 5 minutes. Pretty good start until Laine buries one. It was a turnover by Kent Johnson at 6:19, and Kent Johnson had quite the game. He forces that turnover, and he was forechecking all night. Benoit then has a shot that's held as the Leafs press. The Jackets press 8 minutes in. Reeves gets shaken up along the boards. It was a freak play. There's nobody near him. It's not like he took a dirty hit or anything. It looked like he just hit a rut, wrong part of the ice. Looked like his knee hit the boards, and he leaves. So there's already speculation online about, the Leafs have set this up so that, he goes on LTIR. Yes. They told Reeves before the game, can you intentionally hurt yourself so we have more cap space? That's what happened, because that's what normal conversations sound like. So Goudreau's denied on a turnover. The shots are 9-5 for Columbus with 8.5 minutes left. And then Kent Johnson scores a goal to go with the helper he had. He scores from Peak at 11:56. The Leafs look to answer. They get some pressure. Timmins has a screenshot that nearly fools Merzlikins. The Leafs press with 4.5 minutes left. Matthews then had a rush chance that was held, but it's 2-0 Columbus after the first. Second period. Jackets press a minute and a half in. Riley has a net feed. That's blocked. Columbus is shot blocking. They clear it out. Tavares is denied and close. The shots are 4-0 for Toronto 5 minutes in. We get a power play for Columbus. Line exited hurt at that point as well. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 instead because of the fracas that takes place when Columbus was going to the power play. And they score 4-on-4 at 8:16. Danforth puts one in off Samsonov's blocker from behind the line. Provorov and Jiricek with the assists. And then Columbus has some momentum at 10:45. Chinakhov buries a net drive from Provorov and Jiricek. So Provorov and Jiricek with a couple of helpers in that second period. It's 4-0 in favor of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So post for Fantilli, and then he takes a penalty after, a little overzealous trying to get that one. We get a power play for Columbus not too long after that other power play has been killed off by Columbus, and Columbus scores on their power play. It's Johnny Gaudreau with his first power play goal of the season. Yeah, that's insane, isn't it? Chinakhov and Werenski with the assists at 14-19. It's 5-0 Columbus after 2. So that should be it's a 5-goal lead, right? But it's also Columbus. So I wasn't writing records up there because I'm like, it's Columbus. We'll see. So third period at 38 seconds, it starts to be a Columbus game. Nylander scores from Matthews and Lagesson. The Leafs look for another, and Marner finds it. And it is one of the best goals I've seen this year. Between the legs, puts it in 5-hole. Tavares and McMahon with the assists at 3:49. The Leafs then press for another. It's really all Toronto in that third period. Power play for Columbus, that's killed off. The Leafs press at 8 minutes. Robertson's denied. Elvis holds there. We get a power play for Toronto, and they score on it. It's McCabe with his first of the year, posting in. Timmins and Robertson with the assists at 14:21. Danforth has a rush chance that's blocked. The goalie pull would happen with 2:40 left, and here comes the Leafs. First, it's Matthews from Nylander and Marner at 18:45, and then 30 seconds later, Matthews gets another from Marner and Tavares at 19:15. So is that 23 goals for Matthews? Something insane. So that forces the overtime. The Leafs controlled early. They had opportunities, but the forechecking pays off for Kent Johnson. He ends up getting the game-winning goal. Werenski and Danforth with the assists at 3:26. So Columbus blows a 5-goal lead, and they win in overtime. Very Columbus game. They go to 10-16-5 with the win. The Leafs drop to 15-6-6 with the overtime loss. Shots on net, 11-10 Columbus in the first, 15 apiece in the second, and then in the third, 21-7 for Toronto. 2-2 in the overtime. Final shots, 48-35 for Toronto. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. The hits, 30-28 Columbus. Merzlikin saves 43 out of 48 and gets the win over Samsonov, who saved 29 out of 35. So Samsonov had a rough go of it tonight, which means that his next game he'll get a shutout. It's just like every other game, Samsonov's really good. All right, that being said, moving along, Carolina and against the Detroit Red Wings. So I did the video on the slide for Carolina, right? 4-game slide. They have, I mean, you don't fix your road trip by finishing with 2 wins, but it feels a heck of a lot better. So tomorrow night they're at home against Nashville. We'll see how they do on back-to-backs. But it's Kochetkov versus Husso. And who knew that Husso was going to have maybe his best game of the season? And yet, we will discuss. Power play for the Canes. Teuvo Teravainen has a shot that's held. That's killed off. The Canes press after it's done. Eventually, they get the goal. At 4:48, Drury buries a rebound. Nason and Natchez with the assists, so it's 1-0 Carolina. Wings press at 6 minutes. The teams would exchange rushes. Bunting has a chance. That's held. There's a post for Petrie. The rebound's cleared. Aho's denied as the Canes press. Natchez fans on one. The Wings clear. The Wings press with 7.5 minutes left. Jarvis has a shot that's caught and held. The Wings press with 2.5 minutes left. And Kochetkov was becoming the story again for the second game in a row. 1:18 left. The Wings get a power play, so that rolls over into the second period. DeBrincat has a blast that's held. That power play is killed off. Canes then get a power play. That was killed off as well. 3.5 minutes in, the shots are 3 apiece. Kokaniemi has a net feed that's picked off. And then Rasmussen wires one top corner to tie the game. Kopp and Berggren with the assists at 5:20. It's a 1-1 tie. Kane is denied on a Kochetkov turnover. So Kochetkov gives up the puck and bails himself out on the play. It's a fantastic save by Kochetkov. And then we'll discuss. There's some Detroit fans probably reading ahead already. So the Canes press at the half. Jarvis fires one wide on a fast break. Shea has a screenshot. That's held. And then Husso is caught out of the net, and he's not able to bail himself out like Kochetkov was earlier. Stahl gets the one from Pesci at 11:49. Jordan Stahl won't get an easier goal. It's 2-1 Carolina. Canes press with 6 minutes left. Fost couldn't hit an open net right at the net, too. There's a net feed to Lucas Raymond that gets picked off. 1:21 left. The Wings get a power play, so that rolls over to the third period, where the Canes finish the kill. Kotkaniemi has a net drive. That's held. The Canes are blocking the Wings out, and they're doing a good job of it. The shots are 4-1 Carolina, 7.5 minutes in. And remember, this is in Detroit. Strong forechecking by the Canes. There's a delay of game call. That gives Carolina a power play. Then we get 15 seconds of 4-on-4 before it's a Wings power play. Everything's killed off. The Canes rush after that's done. There's a near miss for Aho on a face-off win. And with 2:53 left, Canes with a power play. And I believe the player going by, as he's heading to the box, says to the referee, that's horse. I'll say horse pucky. How's that sound? Sure. We'll say he said horse pucky. He didn't say that. Anyways, the goalie pull happens with 40 seconds left after everything's killed off. Fabry was denied in the closing seconds, but yeah, Kochetkov had a really good road game. Carolina played well. They win this one 2-1. They go to 16-12-1 with the win. Rumors of their demise have been greatly exaggerated. Detroit drops to 15-10-4 with the regulation loss. Shots on net 10-8 Carolina in the first, 15-11 Carolina in the second, 14-7 for the Canes in the third. Final shots 39-26 for Carolina. Power plays 0-4 for the Canes, 0-3 for Detroit. The hits 13-9 for Detroit. Kochetkov 25 saves on 26 shots. Husso 37 saves on 39 shots. So it's ironic Husso had maybe his best game of the season, but we're going to see replays of him coughing up the puck instead, and people can say, well, see, Husso cost us the game when the team only scored one goal. So it's going to depend on your point of view on that one, isn't it? All right, next up, last one on this board is Calgary and Minnesota. This was fun, too. So Vladar versus Gustafsson, early jump for the Wild. Dubé has a net drive chance. That's held. Eriksson fires one high from the slot. Calgary turns it over and it ends up in the back of their net. It's Matt Boldy, who's been red hot lately. At 4:42, makes it 1-0 for Minnesota. Teams exchange rush chances. With 8 minutes left, the shots are 7-5 for Minnesota. The Wild press with 7 minutes left. Osterley fires one wide from the slot. The Flames press with 3.5 minutes left. Pospisil has a turnover chance. That's held by Gustafsson. The Wild press with 1.5 minutes left. They emerged from the first period with a 1-0 lead. Second period. Early press by the Wild. The shots are 4-1 for the Flames, though, 5 minutes in. So the Flames have a much better start to the second period. Bogosian breaks up a 2-on-1. We get a power play for Calgary. The Wild don't let them set up. They just keep it out. Backlund nearly scores late in it. It's reviewed. They didn't have an angle where the puck was clearly across the line. So by all means, in the comment section, there'll be all kinds of people. It was across the line. It was in. It was a goal, but that's fine. The Wild do finish the kill there, but the Flames would go back to the power play, and they score on this one. It's Sharangovich from Lindholm and Zary. It's 13-17. That's with 7 seconds left in the power play. I think the other one that wasn't in was with 7 seconds left in the power play, too. I guess they like the 007 aspect of it. Sharangovich is denied. Look skyward after that. Sharangovich has been playing really well lately. Shots are 14-8 for the Flames with 4.5 minutes left. Things get pushy on a hold by Vladar. We get a power play for the Wild. That's killed off. 33.5 seconds left. The Flames get a power play. There's some punching to celebrate that as well. So that rolls over into the third period. There's a shorthanded rush by Dewar. And, of course, there's a Dewar, I think, playing for both teams in this game. So, I mean, the Minnesota one. They're spelled different, but they're pronounced the same. So, yeah, that power play is killed off. There's good forechecking by the Flames. We then get a power play for the Wild. They have a chance to pull ahead, but they fall behind. Coleman scores shorthanded from Sharangovich at 4:13. Minnesota, though, shortly after the power play ends, they do get it back. It's Rossi. He gets a goal from Goligoski and Johansson at 4:58. So that's right after the power play ends. Let me just quickly fix something here. It's one of those things that when I'm writing stuff out, sometimes I write things the way that they're not supposed to be spelled. I put a Y at the end of Goligoski instead of an I. Just one of those things drives me nuts. Most of the people who watch this watch on their phones. They can't read the board anyways, but I can, and it's just one of those things that, yeah. Anyways, the Wild then press for the lead. Eriksson Ek, he fires one wide on a rush. We get a power play for the Wild. That's killed off. 4 shots for the Wild on that power play. So Vladar was very good tonight. Hartman's denied. The rebounds cleared. We're going to overtime. In the overtime, Boldy has a rush chance. That's defended. Middleton defends a Kadri chance. Goudreau fires one wide. Kadri has a shot that's saved. The rebound's held. The Wild survived a 2-minute shift where everybody's stuck on the ice and the Flames have them pinned down. Goligoski would then fire one wide. I spelled it right there. But we're going to a shootout, and in round 4, Matt Boldy ends it. So Minnesota wins in the shootout 3-2. They go to 11-12-4 with the win. Calgary, another frustrating loss, 11-14-5. And again, they had a lead in the third period game on the road, and they did not come out of it with 2 points. That's 3 times. That's 3 in a row that's happened, isn't it? With Vegas, with Colorado, and now with Minnesota. So anyways, shots on net in this one. 10-8 Minnesota in the first, 17-10 Calgary in the second, 11-10 Minnesota in the third in the overtime, 2-1 Calgary. Final shots 37-32 for the Flames. Power plays Calgary 1 for 3, Minnesota 0 for 3. The hits 20-15 Calgary. Vladar saves 30 out of 32. Gustafsson 35 saves on 37 shots. His stats are getting better, and now I need to change boards. All right, board number 2 of 2. 4 more games. You'll see there's an 80s night, there's a No Mercy game, and there's a Tony the Tiger magnet. Got all of them on the board. I was quite happy too. So it's weird for me to cheer for a shutout because I want to put a different magnet on the board, isn't it? But first, we got to talk about Ottawa and St. Louis. This was the month Ottawa makes up some of the games it has in hand on everybody. This is the problem with having a bunch of games in hand. You have to win them. This is something we've seen in previous seasons. I remember the first year this channel was running that there was a team, I can't remember which one it was, it might have even been St. Louis, but had a bunch of games in hand, and I was like, boy, this team could be dangerous, and then, nope. So Korpisalo versus Binnington in this one, the Blues press 2 minutes in. Hayes has a net drive chance, that's held. Shots are 5-0 St. Louis at 3.5 minutes, but Buchnevich has a shot that's held as the Blues press. Hayes beats out an icing, the Blues press some more, and eventually they're going to score. They do. Thomas from Falk and Buchnevich at 8:20. 5-hole on a net drive. That was the 11th shot of the game for St. Louis. Ottawa had 0 to this point, so it was a slow start, and that's kind of understating it. Blues press for another. The Sens finally press at the half, get some shots. We get a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. You can see where my marker died. You may have noticed on the first board that I decided the marker's way too light for me to be able to comfortably read it. So, of course, at the bottom, it's all the bright orange because I got to use up the bright orange. Anyways, that's a whole other just housekeeping stuff on my behalf. So, pressed by the Blues with 6 minutes left with 18.9 seconds left. The Blues get a power play. That rolls over into the second period. Krug gets denied on a break. Shen has a blast that's blocked. That power play's killed off. Sens go back to the box soon after. Giroux has a chance. That's held. That power play was killed off. And then at 5:17, Thomas. He would score from Falk. We get a power play for Ottawa. There's a shorthanded rush by Buchnevich. That's killed off. And at 8:22, Saad would score from Leddy and Kapanen. So suddenly it's 3-0 for St. Louis. We get a fight after the Sens are pressuring for a response. Fight between Tkachuk and Tucker. And then at 10:22, Ottawa gets a goal. So that's what you're looking for. After a fight, you want that turn, right? You want that momentum. Kubalik scores from Batherson and Chychrun. And then you have Chartier to Kastelik, near miss. But the Blues press with 6 minutes left. The team's trade turnovers gets a little sloppy. We get a power play for Ottawa. That's killed off. So it's 3-1 for the Blues after 2 periods. Third period, Stützle fires one wide on a rush. The Sens had the only shot on net 3.5 minutes in. Tkachuk has a net feed that's picked off. And then on a one-timer from the slot, Buchnevich makes it a 3-goal lead again. He scores from Kyrou and Thomas at 7:07. Blues have a 3-on-2. That's broken up. The Blues press with 8 minutes left. Stützle's denied twice on a net drive. The Sens press are kept to the outside. There's a goal by the Sens, but is it a high stick? Nope, it counts. They decided to count it. To me, from the angle they were showing on TV, I thought it looked high, but anyways, Joseph gets the goal from Greg and Chychrun at 18:26. Makes the score 4-2. Sens would get no closer. So your final score is 4-2. St. Louis evens the record at 14-14-1. For Ottawa, they're 11-13 on the season. Again, the month of December, they need to win games now. If Ottawa's going to get out of the cellar in the East, this is the month, or else something's going to have to give, you would think. Shots on net in this one, 14-6 St. Louis in the first, 15-12 Ottawa in the second, and 13-4 Ottawa in the third. Final shots, 34-30. Ottawa actually outshoots them. Power plays, Ottawa 0 for 2, St. Louis 0 for 3. The hits, 16-15 St. Louis. Korpisalo saves 26 out of 30, and Binnington 32 saves on 34 shots. So good night for Binnington. Pretty solid night for St. Louis all around. Next up, Tampa Bay and Edmonton. This game, This game just absolutely ridiculous. So Vasilevsky versus Skinner. It's the first time I've used that magnet. I absolutely love that magnet. It says love 80s and it's got a basketball shoe on it that's all prettied up. Anyways, basically it's supposed to be like the Converse. I'm so old. All right, so early power play for Tampa Bay, and they would score on it. At 107, it's Stamkos, who had a big night tonight. He scores from Paul and Point. That is the 200th career power play goal for Stamkos. That's a lot. He's only 100 behind Ovechkin. So the shots are 3 apiece, 4 minutes in, and then at 7:15, Tampa Bay scores again. It's Mott with his first goal of the season from Radish and Hagel. What's interesting is Jack Michael says, I think that was in, and I had already put it on the board. I already put Mott because I'm like, that was in. I could see on TV it was in, and I think anybody watching the game was like, that was a goal. Why didn't the referee see it? I don't know. So he buries a rebound there. Radish and Hagel with the assists. Bouchard then has the shot that's held as the Oilers press to try to answer. The Oilers press with 7 minutes left. Tampa Bay gets stuck on 4 shots for a while. With 1:45 left, the Oilers get a power play, so that rolls over kind of into the second period where Tampa Bay finishes the kill. We then get a power play for Tampa Bay, but the Oilers would score here. It's Nurse from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Ryan at 1:23. He wires that one on a fast break, so suddenly it's 2-1. The Oilers do finish the kill. They clear out after. Kane has a screenshot that's held. The Oilers press at 6 minutes. Draisaitl's denied. Vasilevsky holds. The Oilers would get a power play, and they would score on it. McDavid at 7:20 ties the game at 2, and then the Oilers look for the lead. The Oilers will go back to the power play, and they score on it. It's Zach Hyman tipping one in. Bouchard and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with the assists at 10:02. The Bolts look to respond. Hyman has a shot then that deflects out. Hagel's denied as Tampa Bay gets some pressure. Oilers press in the final minute. Going into the third period, it's 3-2 for the Oilers. An Oilers team that was 9-2 when leading after 2 periods. And I wrote that there because I was like, well, Tampa Bay won the last one 6-4, and the third period was ugly, so we'll see what happens. Early press by the Oilers. McDavid steals. Bouchard fires one wide. Things get punchy on a hold by Skinner. Brown has a shot that's tipped and held by Vasilevsky. Nugent-Hopkins is denied. The Bolts clear. And then Stamkos bats a rebound out of the air. Fleury and Sherry with the assists at 6:48. So suddenly it's a 3-3 tie. And that was kind of out of nowhere. Like, I didn't really expect that. Then the Bolts look for the lead. Point misses wide on a 2-on-1 rush. The shots are 7-6 for the Oilers with 8.5 minutes left, which is a heck of a lot closer than the shots were in the first or second period. And then Kucherov goes 5-hole on a net drive from Point and Sergachev at 12:47. Suddenly, Tampa Bay has a lead in a game they've been outplayed badly. And then Stamkos goes post and in from the point. It's a hat trick. He scores that one from Sherry at 14:02. So he comes off the LTIR today, and he gets a couple of helpers. 4:34 left. The Oilers call a power play, and they quickly make it a 6-on-4 because they're down by 2. They'd call a timeout with 2:38 left, so right near the end of the power play to go over whatever strategy. But it kind of works because at 17:38, Nugent-Hopkins tips one in from Bouchard and McDavid. They would pull the goalie again. You're not going to get it again. Cirelli fought his way to get this one. He scores an empty netter at 18:27. They pull the goalie again, and Stamkos gets his 4th goal of the game. He scores from DeHaan at 19:54. So your final score is 7-4 in favor of Tampa Bay. They go to 14-12-5 with a much-needed victory. The Oilers 13-13-1. Their 8-game winning streak is finished. Shots on net 15-7, Edmonton in the first, 23-7, Edmonton in the second, 16-10, Edmonton in the third. They outshoot Tampa Bay by a ridiculous total of 54-24. Power plays, Tampa Bay 1 for 2, Edmonton 2 for 4. The hits 25-19 Edmonton. Vasilevsky 50 saves on 54 shots. Skinner 17 saves on 22 shots. Vasilevsky's numbers, this is why I don't pay any attention to goals against average. Because 50 saves on 54 shots means his goals against tonight was 4, which is not good. But 50 saves on 54 shots, it's a pretty good number. So that's why I always go with the goals against, or go with the save percentage, not the goals against. All right, next up, Chicago and Seattle. So here's your no mercy game. I'm not entirely surprised, but I will say this. This is the first time I've worn the Seattle Kraken, the only team I had not worn for a multi-game review. So, Soderblom versus Decord in this one. The shots are 2-0 Kraken at 2.5 minutes, and then on a turnover, Yamamoto opens the scoring at 3:07. So, Kyler Yamamoto's been heating up lately, but everybody in a Seattle uniform heated up tonight. Kraken press for another. The shots are 4-0 at 6 minutes. Kurashev has a net drive that's blocked. Seattle presses at 9.5 minutes. Foligno couldn't bury one in close. McCann to Eberle is a near miss, and then Yamamoto bats in a rebound at 17:47 from Dunn and Larson. So Yamamoto with a couple of goals in the first. The Hawks press in the final minute, but they're down 2-0. So second period, Gord has a rush chance that's saved, and then at 3:03, there's a failed clear by Seattle that leads to a goal. It's Radish from Beauvillier, and it feels like, well, maybe this is going to be in danger. Nah. At 4:22, Bjorkstrand scores from Riker Evans. That one goes in off Jason Dickinson's skate. Cartier then has a rush chance to save. The shots are 5-4 Chicago at 8.5 minutes. Kraken press at the half. Larson has a shot that's blocked and cleared, and then at 14:43, it's Cartier scoring from Borgen and Tanev, and then at 17:08, it is Tolvanen scoring from Gord and Bjorkstrand. It was a nice tic-tac-toe play. Not much chance for Soderblom there. Kraken press in the final minute, but yeah, it's 5-1. This is a laugher already. We're going to the third period. We get a power play for Seattle, and at 3:07, Jared McCann with his 14th of the season. He scores from Evans and Bjorkstrand. So Riker Evans, his first career multi-point game. So kudos to him for that. And then at 3:28, Belmar. I think this is the second game in a row he's had a goal. He scores from Shore and Dumoulin. So it's 7-1 at 3:28 of the third period. So yeah, that's when I put up the no mercy magnets. I'm like, there's no way Chicago's scoring 3 from here. We get a power play for Seattle. That's killed off. Bedard had a net drive. That was defended. Power play for Chicago. That's killed off as well. Decord saves and holds right after it's done. Your final score 7-1. The Kraken, winning their second in a row, go to 10-14-7 on the year. Chicago 9-19-1 with the loss. Shots on net 7-5 Seattle in the first, 12-8 Seattle in the second, 11-9 Seattle in the third. They outshoot Chicago 30-22. Power plays 0-1 for Chicago, 1-2 for Seattle. Hits 26-11 for Chicago because they never had the puck. Soderblom saved 17 out of 24. Mrazek comes in relief and saves all 6 shots he faced. Decord saves 21 out of 22. His save percentage is pretty strong over the last couple of games. He's only allowed 1 goal in the last 2 games. So good for Decord. And moving along, last game of the night, Florida and Vancouver. So Florida's having scoring trouble. They're just having come out of Seattle where they were held off the score sheet altogether. Bobrovsky versus Demko, and it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Yeah, we inducted Ryan Nugent-Hopkins into the Ring of Honor. Guy didn't even show up. What a jerk. Anyways, Roberto Luongo was put into the Ring of Honor tonight by the Vancouver Canucks. And it's because I put ROH here, and so I've got RNH on the brain, and I also didn't want to say Ring of Honor and think about wrestling. So anyways, it's a whole rabbit hole my brain goes down. So the shots are 3-1 Florida at 3 minutes. They honestly came out pretty strong. Garland has a rush chance that's defended. Bobrovsky had a nice kick save on Garland, but then during that same shift, Kuzmenko gets a goal from Garland at 4:03. He wires it far side, and he pointed right at Garland, knew that it was Garland that helped him get that. But it was a nice shot by Kuzmenko as well. It's 1-0 Vancouver. Shots are 4-3 for the Panthers, 5.5 minutes in. The Canucks press with 9.5 minutes left. And eventually, Dakota Joshua scores from Bluger. So it's 2-0 in favor of Vancouver. Then there's a mask save on Bennett. Florida gets some pressure there. Joshua to Garland. Bobrovsky poke checks. There you go. Bobrovsky coming out of the net. We'll keep that in mind. We'll stow that away for later. Blocker save on Besser. The Panthers press in the final minute. Barkov's denied, and there's more pressure after that. But yeah, it's 2-0 Vancouver after the first. Second period, early press by the Canucks. Barkov clears one from the crease. Panthers get zone time, but they're not getting shots at this point. There's a press by Florida at 4 minutes. Pettersson had a 3-on-2 chance. That's blocked. Power play for Florida. That's killed off. The shots are 4-1 in favor of Florida, 9 minutes in. And then Bobrovsky comes out. He has a defenseman on his right. He has a defenseman on his left, and he decides to throw it up the middle where Dakota Joshua is standing right there for the puck. He couldn't have passed it to him better if he was on his own team. So Joshua puts it in the net because it's what you have to do in that situation or your teammates aren't letting you get on the bus after the game. So at 10:08, it's 3-0 for Vancouver. The assist to Bobrovsky on that one. Right here, I underlined passed to him just to make sure that I would forget, but just to make sure that I underscored the fact that he passed the puck to Joshua. What are you doing there? So things get pushy on a Bobrovsky hold after that. Probably Canucks calling for the puck. Power play for Vancouver. That then becomes a minute and 47 seconds of 5-on-3. They do score during the 5-on-3 because that's just too much. Brock Besser, yes. I did do the Brock Besser thing. My wife wasn't home, so I had to send her a voice message again. But yeah, Besser from Miller and Pedersen at 15:40. The Panthers then kill off the 5-on-4. 1:22 left. Florida with a power play. So that rolls over into the third period where Anthony Stolarz was in the net. He wasn't busy. I'm pretty sure that his jersey had no sweat on it by the end of it. Probably more water than anything else. So there's no Ekblad on the Florida bench either to start the third period. So hopefully he's okay. Canucks finished the kill. The Panthers press at 2 minutes. There's a power play for the Canucks. That was killed off. Verhaeghe nearly gets one. Couldn't bury one in close. Near miss for Kuzmenko from the slot. It was a fast first half. Lots of shots for Florida, but also very few whistles. The shots were 12-0 for Florida with 7 minutes left. 3:04 left. The Panthers get a power play, and that crowd went nuclear. Like that was some loud ref you suck chants that were going on. He was told that his suck meter was nowhere near 0, probably closer to 100. So they do kill that off, and not only that, no shots for Florida on that power play. The Panthers are struggling. So your final score in this one's 4-0. Tony the Tiger Magnet, because Demko was great. His third shutout of the season already. It doesn't feel like it's that long ago when the idea of a Canucks goalie getting a shutout, yeah, right. So the Canucks are now 29-1 with the win. Florida drops to 17-10-2, and they're struggling right now. These trips out west are hurting these teams from the east this year. They just are. Shots on net 15-9 for Florida in the first, 8-6 Vancouver in the second, 15-1 for Florida in the third. Final shots 36-18 for the Panthers. Power plays 0-3 for Florida, 1-3 for Vancouver. Hits 30-26 Vancouver. Bobrovsky saves 13 out of 17 in the first two periods, and Stolarz saved the one shot he faced in the third. Demko saves all 36 shots. Very, very good game. And fitting that on Roberto Luongo night, Demko saves all 36 shots for the shutout. Kind of looking Luongo-like at points. So when he made big saves, the Lou chant went up. I do wonder if it's going to go beyond this game or if that's just the end of it. We'll see. The Larscheiders are going to decide that. All right, there you go. You're all caught up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.